Welcome back. This is the Between Stars and Suns, Season 2, Episode 5. My goodness. All right. So, a lot happened last time. We gained a new hunter, and Sir Atticus is basically now in the void for a little bit of time. So we'll see when we get him back. Yay. So when Mike, the player, comes back to the game, then we'll see what happened to Sir Atticus. Yay. And Ernest, any ideas what like you were doing like all last day phase?
I mean, I do just occasionally disappear. It is something that I do, but I think that what Ernest does to occupy himself is I think he's a little bit of a voyeur in the sense that he'll see an interesting person on the street and then decide to invisibly follow them back to where they live and just marvel at their day-to-day lives, and see into perhaps even a character I might write one day.
I don't know if Dame Georgie and Miss Kanan want to relate something that was of note to them from last time, and then we will, excuse me, go ahead and get started, because then we also have some mechanical stuff to get done, and then we will continue on with finishing out dusk phase going into night phase. Okay, so any recap that that feels memorable? Feels memorable.
Mhm. We had
That
quite a
were-
few vulnerable moves happening during that day phase. Dame Georgie was a very sad lot because he had like been drenched into the Thames and was utterly humiliated by his presence, by like bemoaning his general life and how loving of a family that he has come from. And then we met our new hunter who Dame Georgie is like, who is this? Why is this person center stage and not me? That's what I remember. It's been about 2 weeks since we last played.
Yeah, I remember we vulnerable stuff aside, we've started investigating some time anomaly that's been happening. It seems that most, if not all of us, except for Ernest, are out of time. And I think a symptom of that is discovering some things in my current room that seem to relate to someone who once lived there or lives there now or will live there. Still not sure.
Out of character, you know I love callbacks. Oh, my favorite thing in the world. All right, so leading into this, let's go ahead and do some mechanical stuff. Ernest, our new hunter, the undeniable Miss Liat Kenan, needs a personal quarters item from you. Seeing what is listed there and, your own ingenuity, what do you think Miss Kenan would have in her quarters?
I think that she also has a very fine kind of empress style walking stick with a brass topper on it, and it's meticulously engraved in a language that I certainly don't read.
Very nice. And because of Dame Georgie's REC move, Ernest gets to pick from the Rear Admiral's stash, which is quite the list in the move. I forget what everybody else had gotten. So obviously, like, not a copy of that, but aside
I'll dig
from,
through.
it's an extensive list. So feel free and peruse, and then just let me know what personal quarters item gets added. And then once you check it off for mechanical use, then it gets removed as if you gave it back to the rear admiral. Okay. And if nobody has already taken it, it's like, I think fuck ton of dynamite is still on the table. So I think we were looking at 2 parties that were going to be happening during this particular night phase. Miss Kinan wanted to celebrate coming to Hargrave House, maybe, I don't know. And then Dame Georgie wanted to invite a few people himself, and we'll see what happens. I had set up an unseen the last time we played, but I think in honor of a possible guest, I'm switching out the unseen to something a little different. If you would go to the unseen tab and scroll down to the last line, 51, and over to J, I and J. It's called Seeing Red. Far away in the home of Abigail Walker, Abigail is hosting a young girl wearing a crimson cloak who has knocked on the door. The young girl says she is in search of her lost playthings. So, first one is paint the scene for everyone. Second prompt is for chaotic. Third prompt goes to Jack. And fourth prompt goes to Sarah. Okay, so that will be our unseen for this particular evening, right? Unless somebody has changed their mind and doesn't want to hold a party, then that's kind of like what I'm rolling with. And then Ernest, I mean, I imagine you stumble home like in your like unseenness, and you find out that you have your choice of social events to attend. So anybody want to do anything else before the parties get started?
I am taking some flash powder from the rear admiral.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead
Very
and
on
pop
brand.
that. Yeah, go ahead and pop that into your personal quarters. Great. Okay. Let me go ahead and read the first unseen prompt so we can set that up. Final call. Anybody want to change anything before we get started? Okay. All right. First unseen prompt. The young girl unties her brilliant red bonnet and hums a lullaby as her host serves her meat pie and mulled cider. Paint the scene. Looking around the residence, how do we know that a realm of myth and fantasy is subtly imposing itself on the reality of London? So remember, you can go ahead and put your answers into the blank space to remind yourself of what you said for the unseen. How do we know that a realm of myth and fantasy is subtly imposing itself on the reality of London?
The rats that live in the walls, some of them begin to emerge, but they walk on 2 legs instead of 4.
I think there is a gentle rain coming across the London, but instead of the normal dreariness, the sort of cold rain, it's warm, and each raindrop just drops down, there's almost like a little bit of a spark of magic as it sort of puddles.
The ivy covered brick walls start growing and expanding almost as if they have their own cognizant tendrils as they start to reach for windowsills.
Seems like Hargrave House is alight with just all the lamps or candles that are possibly in Hargrave House are blazing with light. And then do you suppose that your guests, and I'm speaking to Dame Georgie and Miss Canon, do you think both sets of guests would use the front door, or are you, I don't know, bringing them in through a different entrance? Hargrave House is pretty big.
I don't see why not they would use the front door. That is the sort of easiest entryway, and I think that my guess would be a little bit affronted if I were to take them through a side entrance, such as through the servants' quarters or whatever.
My guests won't need to. We're going to be partying in the garden.
So given that, I'm going to say that there are folks that have made their way to the back of Hargrave House, to the gardens, and see the likes of Sylvia Belrose there, she of the fascination with the strange fashions back at Hazel Beaumont's. You see some people that look like they're officials or curators from the British Museum. And Lady Everly Grey has actually stopped by looking for Sir Atticus. And she's asking around to see if anybody knows where he's been or where he is. And strangely enough, I think amidst the sounds of people starting to chatter, starting to talk, I think in the garden there's the flutter of wings, large wings, and possibly growls in the shadows that seem to know Miss Canon very well, but don't seem to be accosting any of the other guests. I think in the front, you receive Sir Reeswold and also Sir Stuart, who is looking around and, clapping you on the back, Dame Georgie, and saying, "Oh, you really want me to try to spruce this place up? Is that what you need? It sounds like there's something going on outside. What, my friend? What is the meaning of this?"
Scheduling, Miss Error. There's Hargrave House has grown a bit in recent time. And well, Miss Canon, she does not partake into scheduling things properly, at least with me.
Well, I hope it won't be any kind of conflict. Do you have? I wasn't able to get Victoria, but she said she was going to be sending along one of the children. So, just be prepared. But anyway, can I introduce you to my guest? And he has on his arm a very, very beautiful man, tall, probably like about 6'8", and long brown hair, and just dressed in kind of a like the height of fashion, like not quite avant-garde, but like just enough to help him stand out. And he has beautiful golden brown skin, and he takes a little bow and says, "Pleased, I'm sure. This is my friend Kemuel Targaryen. Isn't he wonderful? He's just a bit of a talk of the town, a little bit melancholy, but
Well, should fit in with the sort of decor of Hargrave House. It is a bit of a gloomy place, might feel just at home. Dame Georgie Benbrook Carter."
Pleased to meet you. I have not been here to this particular place. I have a residence of my own elsewhere. And Sir Stuart kind of, just kind of insists upon having you show him around, old boy, and like letting him know where he needs to place people.
Yeah.
Are we having it in the ballroom? Are we doing this, that, and the other thing? And then Reeswold is just kind of like, perusing his little book. He usually brings like a little book with him everywhere he goes. And then he kind of like doesn't look up, but he says, "Well, if we don't have these people here, I mean, there's enough people like amongst us to be able to do like maybe cards, simple cards. That's a party, right?"
Oh, Reeswood. Even though there's intimate gatherings that can do more than just cards, there's all sorts of discussion to be had, as well as just general enjoyment of one's company. Yes, it's best that you get out of your little abode every once in a while, before just outside the REC.
"You're one to talk, Dame Georgie. that tan that you had built up is like starting to fade, starting to look a little pasty there, man. And at this point, then you hear a jangle. It's like ding 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 ding.
I shall fetch the door once more.
Tell me what you see when you open the door, Dame Georgie, and you see your brother.
He's tried to put himself together. Like his clothes are clean. They seem to be sort of, at least from upper society of where they come across, but they're still like crumpled at the edges. His hair is like a little bit of a mess, but like he's good looking enough to like put it as like sort of a casual, like muffled look, or what's the word I'm not looking for? I'm not sure. Look. But like he looks, yes, tousled. Not muscled. He's generally in a bit of a sour mood, but like seeing Dame Georgie, he will, yes, will perk up of just like, okay, at least I'm going to get inside the house and not show up and not be like let in.
What's the expression on his face when he looks at you?
Mixed of, I'm glad that we're having this conversation, but at the same time, like we have like this sort of tension between us of like, I should be mad at you, but I'm not really.
You invited me? That's what he says.
Of course. I invited you, just find some close counterparts, at least people I consider allies in London, just to get things sorted. I feel as though I've been pulled into many directions and I'm running out of time to set things right.
And the thing he leaves you with before I switch scenes is you just have a lot of nerve asking me.
Neither of us are well liked.
So Miss Kanon, your party's in full swing with human and possibly non-human guests out in the garden. I mean, I'm sure there's lamps that have been lit. Some of your guests don't necessarily need them, but they're out there. And I think not only you, but also maybe the Sylvia Belrose and Lady Everly Grey are getting a little bit of attention out there. And some of the British Museum people are talking with them and also seeing who's around or what's around. They are always looking at you, though. I mean, out of the corner of their eye or directly, or just looking for some sort of approval from you. So
I should mention that this was a themed party. It is a garden party, after all. And so I've requested that all guests who come either be wearing some kind of poisonous flower, or in more extreme cases like myself, are painted and decorated in poisonous flowers. So I think when guests begin to arrive, there's been sort of this like raised platform that's been erected in the garden. The flowers from the garden have actually been pulled and helped and used to construct this thing that she's sort of laying upon, overseeing everything. There's a pipe with some opium being passed around. There's roaring fires, fire dancers. There's drummers. There's lots of ringing as bells are sort of just being waved around.
And Ernest, you're lurking?
Yeah, Ernest came home to a garden full of fascinating and very interesting people. So before going inside and donning clothes and a mask and socializing, I think that he would, circling far and wide away from the fire dancers, eavesdrop on everyone's little conversations and see what's going on.
All right. Let's head over to the second unseen prompt, and then we'll see about getting something started. Chaotic. The crimson-cloaked girl needles her host, insisting she must find her wayward playthings, or else her grandmother would be angry, without revealing the nature of the young girl's playthings. What subtle clue suggests that Abigail has secreted away the girl's quarry beneath the floorboards?
I think as this little girl is just pleading with Abigail, uh, she's just going, "Oh, I must find my playthings. They're so dear to my grandmother. That we've had them in the family for ages, and if I lose them, she would. I hate to think what she would do to me." And as like she's just like looking around, walking, I think we hear just the creaking of floorboards. And like Abigail, every time that there's an exceptionally loud creak, Abigail's breath catches.
Back inside, where do you guys repair to? Do you stay in the great foyer? Do you go into the ballroom? What kind of party are you anticipating, especially with the possible royal coming?
I think the possibility of the royal coming, then we would take this to a ballroom, and I imagine like the ballroom's pretty grand for what it is, but there is like side rooms for more intimate conversations, and they have a tendency to be more luxurious than say somewhere more comfortable, such as the salon or what have you.
I think, despite what you said to Reese Wode, I think he brings out his, not playing cards, but I think he brings out, for fun and for fidgeting, he brings out his deck of tarot cards, and then he begins to shuffle them and, lays out a silk handkerchief to, as if he's going to do a reading. Well, while we wait, I don't see any reason why I couldn't possibly, see about seeing where our fortune lies. I mean,
Mhm.
this is a very strange occasion, and again, it's a little bit comforting to me to see how it looks. Yes,
Yes, yes,
Dame
yes.
Georgie, please cut the deck and
Okay.
move the cards. And you know how
Yeah,
he has them.
I
And
know
then
his tastes.
yeah, and then he'll fan them. He'll bring them back together, and then he will start to lay them out in the basic pattern. But I think you find, as he lays them out, first he puts down the first card. It's the Queen of Hearts. He's already getting a visible shiver. And then he lays down the second card. Queen of Hearts. This is not normal. He
Someone
lays,
messing with your cards there, Reesewood?
no, this is not usual. He lays down the third card. Across the other two. Queen of Hearts, but this time much more bloody. And then he trembles to pick up the fourth card. Dame Georgie, you do it.
Mm. It seems as though that we might have some royalty at our party tonight. And I lay it down, and of course, it can't be anything but the Queen of Hearts.
Your brother, strides up to Reese Wode and says, "Give me that," and snatches up the rest of his deck and just throws them on the floor. I think you know what's on the floor now.
Mm-hmm.
The entire deck is full of Queen of Hearts. Reese Wode is shaken, for sure. And Sir Stuart is fluttery and just concerned about, oh, dear Kemuel, don't let this, deter our good time. I mean, this is just a minor setback. It's just a little bit of superstition and a cult. I mean, as Hargrave House is wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Kemuel looks just composed and says, "I've seen this before." That's all he says.
Mm. Anthony, that was not very nice of you to do to Reesewood's cards. Even though there are a little bit on the esoteric side, a little bit creepy. It's still not nice to do that. Pick them up.
We're going to switch over to the outside. So, fire dancers or twirlers or what have you, and then all the different guests. What are you doing, Miss Kanon? While this
She's
is going on?
lounging.
Mm,
She's splayed out on the lounge that has been set up in her honor. She has her manservant beside her, just stoic, patient, waiting to tend to her whatever needs she has. There's a moment where she sort of waves him down, not even looking at him, but he leans down and she whispers something into his ear and he walks off. But I think that when she's sort of scanning the crowd, what is Miss Everly wearing?
she is wearing what looks like a simple dress of kind of like Grecian make, where it's like very drapey folds in the front, like no sleeves, and then like it just kind of comes down in a graceful drape shift tied together with silver cord, and it's gray silk folds. She
Okay,
comes up to you. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, she her eyes meet hers then, and I think she just sort of does the chin nod as if to come up.
Mm. And she does, she has a very measured gait. Like it's not timid. It's not, it's a stride, basically. It's what is the meaning of this party? I assume you're new. I mean, otherwise Sir Atticus would have mentioned what a ravishing colleague he had here.
We can do away with the formalities. I know who you are. I know your family.
Oh, yes.
Why are you here? In London, I mean.
Hunting. Hunting as I always do, as we always do, as if you know my family very well.
I know them well enough. I do hope, though, that you will respect the decorum laid out here and respect my guests. And when she says that, the trees and the bushes start to rustle and hiss. But yeah, I think she says that and she sort of like looks up and reclines.
I mean, Lady Everly Grey takes a very long sniff. None of them are my quarry this evening, so they're safe. It's fine. I wouldn't have come in this manner if I had any ill will towards, well, your guests. I've been known to be allied with a monster or two, if it serves, of course, as you, I'm sure, have done so as well.
Perhaps.
Would it interest you to know that maybe my family has possible entry for you in our little records?
I have no interest in aligning myself with poachers.
Not poachers, just ridding the world of things that could possibly be against the common good.
Then why haven't you gone after the queen?
I'm sorry?
Why haven't you gone after the queen then?
Oh, she's a different sort, that's all the same. But are we speaking of the same queen?
Victoria.
Ah. Hmm. I don't play well in political circles. And that seems to be the only way to play without having such a creature be martyred and raised to godhood, which I'm sure you would find disgusting.
Yes, well, do enjoy yourself. Enjoy my
will.
hospitality.
Ah, it seems wonderful so far. So, again, I thank you for allowing me to stay. And I just wonder what happened to Sir Atticus. I was expecting him to be here, at least at the house, if not here at this gathering. Have you seen him?
I have not. The name strikes me as familiar, though.
What do you mean?
His last name, family name.
Wellington Hughes. Yes.
Are you familiar with them at all?
Yes. Not in a good way.
Hmm.
His cousins are not exactly the best humans possible. But he seems a decent sort.
He does. Stay clear of him.
Of Sir Atticus.
Yes.
Why?
You have your grounds, I have mine.
I don't think our relationship is anything having to do with you. Or does it?
Everything has something to do with me if I want it to.
Interesting. Are you thinking about taking a little slice of Sir Atticus for yourself?
Perhaps. Perhaps not.
Or you just want to keep him away from me?
You chuckle. You laugh as though these hunts that you go on are simple dalliances.
It comes down to the prey and the hunter. In some cases, they become the same thing. Enjoy your party, Miss Kenan. If
Take my
that is what you
advice, Miss Everly Gray. Don't become my prey.
I'll try not to. And then she'll tap her thighs meaningfully. And then she'll move along to speak to others. Ernest, are you still hanging out at this outdoor party? Or are you seeing what's going on inside?
I would like to think that Ernest has spent the past several minutes listening in on conversations, and would there be any interesting bits of information that I would have gleaned? I mean, I don't think I would. I'm not the type to tap on shoulders and play pranks in that regard. I just want to lean in too far to smell someone or hear a whispered word that wasn't meant for anybody else.
Are you thinking to do an information move here?
I would love to.
I would say either composure or sensitivity. I mean, like you're being stealthy,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
not
mean, also
presence,
there's
that's for sure. Whatever
there's
the
a lot
opposite
of
of that is.
yeah, there's also a lot of strange folk about right now. So
I will try composure.
oh, no, don't worry about it because I don't think Barbs and Sparse comes into this since you're not talking to anybody at the moment.
Completely silent.
Yeah.
I still wrote a 6.
I think so for the miss.
Uh-huh.
I think that you've been sniffing, even though you've been trying to be stealthy, but I think something scents you. And you feel, as you're wandering around, I think you feel something big in the shadows. And it's taken a nice big chomp on your arm. And you hear a growl as it's clasping your arm in its teeth. Oh, what is this? Smells good. Fresh.
So I just sense something from the dark and it bites me on the arm, but I cannot see it. It's just
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big something because it's like you literally feel like a jawline like along your bicep and into your elbow.
I would like to mark a mask.
Okay. Masks are good. Fantastic. Okay. So that brings you to 7 to 9. clue as well as a complication. I think. Oh boy. Ooh. So many things going on right now. I'm not sure which one to do. You know what we're gonna do meantimes, just because it's like it seems the most likely at this point. So I think you do feel a grasp on you, but instead of being a very large mouth with teeth, I think you feel this breath of hot air on your skin. Like but it's big. Like it's not just a breath by your ear. It's like along your ear and down your arm and like, down your side, as if something very big has wafted in.
The
And
goosebumps go all the way down.
yes, but I mean, it's hot air and it's like, it's like practically breathing on you. And it says, "You are human, not seen. What is this? Are you
Pardon
a
me.
visitor too?"
I just I like to pop in and see how a party is going before I make my actual entrance, just to see if it's something that I really you're big.
And you hear the flutter of very large wings, even though you can't see shit. A compliment. Wonderful. Are you a visitor too to this place?
Well, I guess it's my house. I'm just a very unique human.
Oh, I smell different times here. Different reality here. Are you part of a different reality?
Not to the best of my knowledge. I do like to create realities, but they're usually much more staged, imagined.
You
I
tell
don't
stories, yes?
quite a bit, and I'm
Tell me a story.
it was the dead of winter, and all you can see is one tiny little candlelight in a window before it is snuffed out and blood crashes across the panes. And I proceed to tell a very vicious, blood-soaked kind of cabin in the woods madness, hoping to satiate this creature's bloodlust through my descriptions and preserve my invisible but very tasty flesh.
Yes, I mean, like the hot air is just like kind of vibrating around you, and like you hear like the pleased laugh and shudder of wings as it shows its appreciation. Take the condition storyteller or bloody storyteller. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm.
Take that as
I
your
am
condition.
I am a savage. I know how to do it. So, having politely, yes, oh, no need to applaud. Ernest will book it for his rooms
Yep.
to put on a very nice suit.
Yeah. And that is your clue is visitors from another time and place.
Mhm. Point of clarity,
Yes.
just because time and space is a little wibbly wobbly at the moment.
Yes.
In other between games that I have played, when a new hunter is brought in, the other hunters were aware of them and knew them. They just leave and go. Is Liat Kanan new to Ernest? Have they met before? Is this a timey-wimey situation? Or would I go about introducing myself?
I think you would go about introducing yourself, because I don't think you are completely shifted into this particular slot yet. So assume that you have not met Miss Kanan yet, because you were doing the naked wandering somewhere. however you want to explain it.
As one does.
As one does, sure. So yes, feel free. And then for the next scene, it's go ahead and introduce yourself once you're fully dressed.
Mhm.
But yes, you have amused this creature that she has invited to this party, for sure. Jack, the crimson-cloaked girl, is a near-perfect house guest. She offers to clean her own dish, provides generous compliments to her host, and shows an exceedingly polite character. Yet she does not seem to put her host at ease and refuses to leave. Her host, whether consciously or unconsciously, senses that the girl is a nightmarish beast in disguise. What about her indicates this?
So I think Abigail Walker's older. Her eyesight isn't the best. She often needs bifocals to really see crystal clear. And what at this hour it's also dark, and so the house itself it's candlelit and there's lanterns, but it's still relatively dim. There's not like the bright sunlight of day. But there's a moment where Abigail excuses herself, and as she does, she's left this crimson cloaked girl to finish off the dessert that she was offered. She goes to retrieve a pair of glasses, and her eyes begin to adjust to them, and her eyes sort of flutter as she realizes that everything's kind of much more clear. And when she comes back down to the kitchen, or rather the dining room, she sits where she's seated, right on the corner with the girl. And the girl proceeds to continue on about these playthings of hers and how distraught she is that they're lost, and how hopeful that she is that Abigail can be the one to help her find them. She notices two things, though. The first is that the dessert hasn't been touched, which is odd, especially for a young girl. More alarming is, as this young girl is speaking, she realizes that while she's saying words and her teeth are moving, her lips aren't. She realizes that there's something else behind those lips. Those teeth aren't hers. She sees seams towards the back of her ear, coagulated blood filling up at them. And she looks and she can see the skin of the face shift around as if it's mask.
Dame Georgie, do you think that you, at some point, as Sir Stuart's kind of taking in the ballroom, coming up with possibilities accompanied by Camuel, and Reese Woad is a little bit shaken and probably drinking some brandy at this point. Do you think you would have gone, I don't know, to one of the side rooms just to catch a breather from your brother being obnoxious?
Yeah, or my brother being particularly rude to my compatriots, and my compatriots +1, probably just to me in general. I think
Which
I
room?
go up to the side room and just sigh.
I think in the side room there's some deep velvet curtains of a dark burgundy red and black. And you don't remember that shadow looking human shaped before. And you hear from the shadow, "It's been so long since you visited me. Why, Dame Georgie? Don't you want to come and play?"
I think at that my breath catches. A moment passes, then a second.
You feel a fingertip going from your line of your jaw up your chin and raising your face up into the shadow. You see a pair of ruby red lips and the sight of a pale neck that is ringed with a bloody cut. Those lips are what's speaking to you with very white, pointy teeth. "Come and play, Dame Georgie. You know you want to. You don't need any of them out there. I
Oh,
miss you.
I've just been so tied to my work, to the concerns of London, to my loyalty to this realm.
This realm
This realm.
or this queen?
Are you jealous that she has others' attention?
No. It's just a bit of worry that you are concentrating on all the wrong things. Dare to dream, Dame Georgie. Come away from here. Join me and my companions. You don't need to worry about being here in London when there's so much more that you can see. The mountain peaks are the limits. You can go beyond that. Visit Reverie. Would you like to?
I would love to.
Her mouth gets closer to your ear as you feel her body press against yours, still in shadow. Come away. Would you like to?
Yes, I would love to.
Her breath is so cold upon your neck. Let this kiss seal the deal. And she takes a bite of you. And take the condition, dark desires. While this condition is active, you add a dawn question to your list, and you have to figure out a way to put this in there. It is always considered marked that you have to answer this. Have you fed your dark desires? And with this condition, you can choose a mastermind move as part of an advancement. However, if you do, dark desires becomes permanent.
I know.
Just saying. All right. Miss Kanan. Party goes on. You've spoken with Lady Everly Grey. What other amusements do you find here, or are you letting the amusements come to you?
Oh, she's absolutely letting the amusements come to her. She has not moved really from where she's been on the throne. Men and women have been set up to her, beautiful, naked, oiled up and ready.
Okay.
But despite them being delicious, she looks distracted and as if it's just something else has caught her eye. But these objects of sexual gratification just sort of stand there waiting, anticipating, but she ignores them. And I think that she's actually sort of honing in. She feels something has come to this place, something unnatural but almost familiar. And she sort of starts to crane her head up towards the salon, or where it would be in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she just sort of narrows her eyes, sensing something. But I think as she started trying to focus, there's some gnat buzzing in her ear, and it's annoying enough to snap her attention away. And she looks down and she sees Sylvia Belrose trying to get her attention as much as she can, just with these overly familiar attempts at getting her attention. And I would like to make Sylvia a servant.
Okay. All righty. So yeah, go ahead and remind us of that move. Describe how side characters subtly or not so subtly debases themselves before you in the scene, and then scar your reflection. How does she do so?
I think what she does is she dares to step onto the to the steps of this raised platform, and Liat's face immediately goes to hers, and her excitement sort of just dissolves into sheer fear that she's offended goddess, and she pleads on her knees, asking for mercy, asking for forgiveness. And Liat, I think maybe Liat sort of watches her squirming on the steps of this platform, just trying to get some kind of attention, some kind of word out of Liat, but she doesn't give her the satisfaction of an apology or of a punishment. She just lets her sort of stew in doubt.
I'm going to take it a little further and say that she probably begs for whatever you're planning on doing. Please, please, let me know. I know I've transgressed. Please.
Yes, you have.
Punish. Just let it happen. Just
No punishment is to attend the other party. Go.
no.
Leave your clothing here.
Yes. Yes. And she will slowly strip to the delight of the other attendees at your party, and she will head inside to Dame Georgie's party.
So there's also something I set up at the earlier scene, but
Okay.
her Liat's manservant has entered Hargrave House, and he has been distributing sprigs of belladonna to the guests as an invitation to her party.
Okay.
I don't think he finds Dame Georgie. I think that whole thing is out of his realm. But there's also a ringing of the doorbell, and instinctively, the manservant goes to it, opens it up, and there is a line down the block of people who you would deem as probably being of a lower class, possibly from places like the Limehouse.
Right.
And he just gestures like this way.
Excellent. And I'm actually going to add to that and say, there's a young man dressed in fairly decent clothing. I mean, like, working class, afraid. I mean, used, but still clean. And he is looking around, not frantically, but like just concernedly. And he's kind of like asking among the people that are in line in the queue. It's like, "Oi, have you seen like a toughed up gentleman, Sir Atticus Wellington Hughes? You? Hey, I know that he's got to be around here. It's like, it's fancy enough. Come on, tell me where are we going? What is this?" And he makes his way to the front of the queue, and finds himself at the door, and he remembers to put his cap in hand, amazingly enough, and he's trying to ask the manservant if he knows where Sir Atticus went.
The manservant is a statue at this point. He's not blinking. He's not saying anything. He has done what he's been told to do and stands aside with the door open, letting these new party goers in so that they can enjoy the party at Hargrave House, hosted by Dame Georgie Ben Carter.
Sorry. Ernest, I think you hear this ruckus happening downstairs as you're changing. You see this, you hear like the people coming in, murmuring and coming in, and Sir Stuart is a little bit scandalized. It's like, what's the meaning of this? It's like, we didn't invite you. Oh goodness. Dame Georgie, where are you? There's so many people here, man. What? These are not the people I had invited in the first place. What is going on? And Kemuel's at his side, just quite calm and composed. And Ernest, there's a bunch of people crowding around Hargrave House now.
I see the crowd from the window upstairs.
Yep, this line going around the block.
As I am putting on my final cravat touches, and I put on a white Noah mask of, I think, gonna stick with owl. And I am plucking a dried piece of mistletoe to put in my boutonniere, and I realize, oh dear, I have to go down the back stairs. Because I'm going to, as much as I love drama, going to avoid all of that.
The hoi polloi.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, Sarah. The girl finally overcomes Abigail's reluctance to reveal the location of her prey. How does she do so? And as the camera tilts below the floorboards, what unfortunate fairy tale creatures do we see quivering in the dark, who will assuredly never find happiness ever after?
Over time, she begins to tell Abigail that these playthings of hers really can't take care of themselves. They've been domesticated and they couldn't possibly survive on their own out in the wild of the city. If they don't get regular care, and if I do not get to play with them, they won't survive the night. I'm so concerned. And as we see Abigail kind of soften, the camera pans down and we see a bunch of tiny pixie sort of creatures, but all of the wings have been rumpled and torn. And you can see that there are old and new bite marks along their pale flesh, and their dark wings are barely attached. They look like they're bandaging themselves with whatever bits of twine they can find beneath the boards.
All right. So, Dame Georgie, I think, well, you tell me, do you think after being bitten, you wake from your dream and hear the sounds coming from outside of the salon? Or are you reveling in it and feeling the blood drip from this bite, this love bite that you've received from the Queen of Hearts?
I think I do get up, but I'm like in a daze. I think my fellow REC members are like as like I'm coming out of this room are trying to like try to get my attention, trying to like figure out what's going on, but I'm just like not really paying attention to really anything going around. Like I like move people out of the way. I even like at one point just shove them as I straight up leave Hargrave House, wandering out into the night.
I think we see your brother even like going to the door and like yelling at you, like trying to, I don't know, get your attention, but you are in it. So, and Miss Kanon. So you have sent Sylvia Belrose, who has mingled at this point with the people that have started coming in and just saying, yes, come to this party. It's amazing. You might even be able to go out into the garden and behold the greatness that is her. And like, she's just out there. She's just like, she's kind of like a carnival barker, but she's completely naked and she is just enthralled, and she's just trying to tout this party as the best thing ever, even though it's, yeah. What are you doing now?
Yeah, the manservant comes back out after the after Dame Georgie's new party guests arrive. And she just sort of remarks to him, after all these years, the little things that really matter, small laughs, pranks here and there. But when she says that, she I think from her position and the height of her throne, she can see Georgie stumbling out into the streets, into Belgrave Square. And she just sort of cocks her head up towards him, watching him stumble down the cobblestones. Oh, I suppose someone can't handle the party. And I think with this sort of renewed energy, she stands up, claps, and the pieces of human candy that were delivered to her sort of form around her into attention. And I think her members know what this means. And it is here where the flames begin to burn brighter, the drums begin to pound in this deep rhythmic way. The things in the bushes and in the trees begin to snarl and growl in excitement as the orgy commences.
Yep. And I think even Lady Everly Grey literally lets her hair down and gets in on it too, for funsies. So, I mean, Sir Atticus isn't around, so what the hell? Yeah. And Ernest, which party have you joined?
I was going down the back stairs to go back out to the gardens in order to avoid the unwashed masses. I
Mhm.
mean, dealing with the public.
And I assume that you are watching the festivities in the garden.
Eagerly.
Okay. All right. Cool. And I think we can end the night phase there, unless somebody can think of something else that they wanted to happen. God. Oh, that was great. Yeah, so we're just going to end the night phase there. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back and do dawn questions. Okay, like do the dawn. All right, see you in 10. Okay, so we have had a night phase. Boy, what a night phase. And yeah, let's go ahead and go to dawn. All right, so no threat was resolved. Let's answer some dawn questions. Dame Georgie, did the hunters answer a question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Resolve a threat? No. Did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, with the breath catching, with the floorboards and the breath catching before the Queen of Hearts entered the scene.
Yeah. Okay. Did you deliver a chilling, dead-eyed monologue about the horrors of the
Yeah.
world? Yes, you did that already. I knew that. And you haven't had a chance, at least I don't think so, to feed your dark desires yet, because you just got this condition.
Yeah, and I didn't use the Queen to justify my brutal actions. I did use the Queen to justify my general attitude, but not brutal actions.
Yeah, you need some more brutal actions. Okay.
I need to beat people up.
So you need to go ahead and mark that XP, and then take an
I
advancement if you get one. And yeah. All right. Miss Kanan. All right. Did you answer a question? Yes. Resolve a threat? No. Did you experience an echo in the night?
Dessert, uneaten.
Got it. Okay. Did you express a clear preference for the beautiful over the mundane?
Possibly. I mean, maybe like sending the the unwashed masses over to the Squares party so that we could have like a
do you
raunchy
need to be
floral
marking your
orgy.
reflection for that? Or is that just considered a dick move, not an evil move?
I think it falls into dick move.
I think it falls under dick move, to be honest. I
Okay.
don't consider it terribly evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you appear in London society wearing risque or avant-garde fashion?
I would say so. In the morning, in the day phase, I was rocking
peacock.
the peacock suit.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Take those take those points, excuse me, and then mark your XP track and then clear your dawn questions. Again, go ahead and change your dawn questions if you'd like. If you've answered them. And then Ernest. Let's see. Going over. Let me go ahead and also, yeah. All right. Answer a question? Yes. Resolve a threat? No. Did you experience an echo in the night? Yes. I remember
the dark
hearing
wings and bloody bites.
Yes. Did you dress or act in a theatrical manner in order to draw attention to yourself?
Well, when I got back down, the party had kind of evolved into an orgy, so I don't think I drew attention to myself in that manner.
Okay. So, okay, don't take that one. And did you take advantage of your invisibility in ways others would disapprove of?
I mean, I lurked in other people's boudoirs and homes invisibly for like an entire day phase. I think I'm good
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, you're good. So go ahead and take those points, clear your dawn questions, and then excuse me, change your dawn questions if you want. And then, excuse me, any playbook or custom moves that are resolved during the dawn phase. Okay, no American. Yeah, it's the only one
Uh-huh.
that would have it.
Do you have to narrate how my reflection gets
Mhm.
scarred
Yes.
from that thing with Sylvia? So
Yes.
um I don't think Ernest was here for the description of the statue, but essentially it's a very, very large sculpture. Looks to be like old clay, maybe like Assyrian or Babylonian, but of a woman with her hair being lifted aloft by owls and her feet with talons that are crushing like a platform of skulls. Um, but yeah, I think sort of echoing what happened with Sylvia, um, I think that pieces of the torso begin to flake off in large chunks. Um, Not enough to allow for like viewing of the inside of the statue, but enough to sort of mar and distort the silhouette. And because the curators were at the party, they weren't able to catch any of these pieces, so they just sort of shattered to the ground.
So
As
yeah.
part of my advancement, I'm going to take one of the mastermind moves and
Okay.
make dark desires permanent. I'm taking the cleansing qualities of crimson.
Go ahead and read that out.
There is no panacea like human platelets. The following rules apply. When you ingest the blood of a willing hunter during the vulnerable move, clear 2 conditions. However, instead of removing a condition, the other hunter must replace the current condition with dark desires. When you indulge in your vice in a manner that bathes you with a side character's blood, still warm blood, roll with presence. On a hit, clear a condition and choose one from the list below. On a 10+, choose 2. You don't draw any unwanted attention. The side character, if still alive, will yearn to serve you, if only to experience the elation of your teeth tearing into their flesh again. You stumble upon a clue, tell the keeper what it is. You take a memento from a side character, ask another hunter what it is, and put it in your personal quarters. So, yeah.
Fun.
The amount of conditions on the board, I think this is probably a very good move to have in the future.
I mean, between this mastermind move and the undeniables giveth, we're just gonna have one hell of a party. I'm just saying that right now. It'll be great. Okay, so given that, and then you wanted to push off your mask until next time. That's perfectly fine, Jack. And then we're gonna go ahead and hit a day phase again.
We have another threat.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
On the doorstep, yes. So after the this party, holy shit, I think there's some signs of the. You know what? I just want to paint the scene for right now. Please tell me what the aftermath of these parties look like, as the unwashed masses have left and the stink of the orgy is kind of like reeking in the garden a little bit. Please tell me what else is what other signs we see during this day phase, during the beginning of this day phase.
The first is that not all the unwashed masses have left. Some of them have crashed in the spare rooms of Hargrave House. Maybe even some of them crashed in Dame Georgie's room. Who knows?
Has Dame Georgie returned from his nighttime wandering?
I think so. I think instead of entering in through the front door, Dame Georgie enters in one of the side entrances, trying to sneak on by. Very disheveled and just trying to hide from everyone and everything. He has sort of blood draining down from his mouth, down his chest, and it's soaked through his clothes, and he he is more curious about than anything about like his current status. Just passing by mirrors, checking if his reflection is still there, and what have you. Seeing his teeth be a little elongated than normal, but very carefully and vigilantly trying to wake no one as he meanders back through the house to his room.
I think you see like a particularly ornate piece of stationery folded up with your name on it stuck on your door with a dainty pin. It's Sir Stewart leaving you a note saying, "Where the hell are you, man? You deserted your party, a party that I didn't create. And now we have, well, guess you'll see to your guests when you return." Signed, Sir Stewart.
I think we also see just articles of clothing strewn from the back gardens as if the parties merged at some point and overlapped a little in the middle. So you see occasional, like a vest on a banister, a corset left behind, that sort of thing. Ernest didn't sleep a wink. I've been writing feverishly for hours.
Where did you find an empty room to be able to do that?
Oh, I kicked out
are you
several
not
people.
alone?
I kicked out several people in the early morning after a voyeuristic moment in a more personal and intimate setting.
Excellent. All right, great. So yeah, yeah, this is the aftermath that we see. And yeah, there's a knock at the door. And then I'd like as gently as possible, because I think again the aftermath has strewn out into the front yard of Hargrave House to the consternation of neighbors, I'm sure. But anyway, yeah, there's a gentle ding 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 ding, like as lightly as possible on the doorbell. I don't know if anybody answers. But whomever answers, whomever does stumble blearily to the door, will see Bartholomew Gastrell, an old friend of Hargrave House and one of the finest surgeons in London. And he tells you of his newest guest at the mortuary. The well-preserved body of a girl was found at Kilborn Abbey during recent renovation work, walled up in the basement. Shortly after removing the corpse, dark urges have begun to spread inside the monastery. Statues and paintings have been smeared with obscene drawings. Monks were found in sinful embrace, and the abbot himself blasphemed God during Mass, foaming at his mouth. According to Gastrell, each of these events was preceded by a sighting of the walled-up girl, wearing a pre-century clothes and the most wicked smile. So, I'm going to ask Ernest, being the creative genius behind Grand Guignol. A detail in Gastrell's story confirms this is demonic activity. What is it?
The nature of how the monastery was founded is something that Ernest did quite a bit of research into as part of a setting for one of his bloody plays. And it was, in fact, unconsecrated and then reconsecrated again under a lot of like hubbub at the time. And so it occurs to me that it's very likely that this is more than just a simple haunting. I think that the detail that leads him to that was there is blood oozing from the walls occasionally through little crevices pre and post these episodes that the monks have.
This is the threat of the demon of Kilburn Abbey. So there are two questions that could, well, I should say one of these two questions could help resolve the threat. You can answer, how can the demon be driven from the abbey, which is a complexity 6? Resolve the threat by using innocence or piety as bait. From this group, God help us. then performing a banishing ritual. Or why was the demon bound to a girl? The complexity 8. Resolve the threat by performing a ritual to rebind the demon to the girl's corpse. Thereafter, the hunters have access to the custom move Demonic Insight. All right. And there is a threat mask associated with this, and it is called the Mask of Sacrilege. So given that, fun. Again, Bartholomew Gastrell is a friend of Hargrave House. So, you could always go see him if you want to try and get a little bit more information. Or he has the corpse in the mortuary. So, I mean, again, take a little look, see yourselves. And of course, Kilborn Abbey itself. And the Abbey has different places that sightings were seen, and then stuff happened. So I think I wasn't even thinking of what was going to happen for this night phase. So I just think this is hilariously appropriate for the morning after. So you have 3 threats now on the board. Figg's pigs. Figs are still out there. You've solved one, or you've answered one question, but the complete resolution is dependent upon capturing or destroying the last Figg. And that can only be done at night. All right. Meantime's in Greenwich, trying to figure out what's going on and then solving this problem before it gets worse. And then, of course, the demon of Kilborn Abbey. Okay. So, yeah, plenty to play with. You guys just need to tell me, vulnerable moves are on the table. Boy, howdy.
I would like a vulnerable move, please. Me with my 3 conditions. 2 are the only ones I can remove now. I definitely think I can probably segue a vulnerable move into with Ernest the best, at least with my new move. I don't think I could have. I don't think Miss Kanon would willingly give me her blood.
Wait, I'm willingly giving you my blood?
Well, it depends on how the scene progresses.
Oh, huh. That's a vulnerable move demand that I've not had before. I mean, we could instead partake in a little voyeurism.
Yeah, it depends on whether or not Dame Georgie can make any deals with you.
I see.
He's a businessman first and foremost,
Well, I definitely want to go check on, I think, despite the fact that she was sort of interested in what was going on with this James Allardyce fellow, I think the mention of a demon makes Liat a little bit more, makes her perk up, and she's going to go to the Abbey. I'll do some vulnerable scenes if folks want to, but I'll make one condition. So
I think, okay, yes, you can certainly try and barter Dame Georgie for a vulnerable move. We'll just fight out our vices. But I think Ernest, after the near miss at the party/orgy the night before, and this dark creature talking about out of place and time, I think that's probably where my focus will be for the day. But I was not present, Sarah was not present when this threat was introduced, so I don't have locations of where I should go investigate. Pardon me for just a moment.
Yeah, I can totally give you those. I mean, you have the observatory itself if you want to check out, or you want to talk to Margaret, who was the good doctor's assistant. He'd killed himself because of this whole timey-wimey stuff. And then, of course, the hospital and the Greenwich Hospital School, where there's the which Allardyce is the right one for this particular time period, and then what exactly is going on the ship, or what did they find, that sort of thing. So there's different places to look at for meantimes at Greenwich. And then after the vulnerable scene, Dame Georgie, what were you planning on doing?
Oh man, I we still have Figg's pigs to deal with, and I think I'm going to go to like Bethlehem Royal Hospital to have a discussion with the Mr. Figg.
Okay. Sure. That'll be fun.
Mhm.
All right. So, which one to take on first, boy? All right. Well, let's start off with a new one. So we're gonna have Miss Canon go to the Abbey. Oh, but vulnerable
do-
scenes first.
Yeah, do you want to do those first, or
Yeah.
That
So
probably makes good sense.
Mhm.
whomever's vice it is needs to frame it up. So
Go ahead. You can ask for blood.
Yeah, I think, Ernest, I think in the house, like you are one particularly quiet person. You know how to make yourself a little bit unseen, even while wearing clothes. It's pretty hard to spot you. But I think like Dame Georgie actually gets the sneak up on you. I think he looks a little bit less for wear, like he's been out for the majority of the night. He really hasn't been sleeping. Ernest?
This. You came just out of. You're not usually this stealthy first thing in the morning.
No, I think I got into a little bit over my head with something. You aren't exactly all that's normal. How do you deal with it?
So you woke up this morning in a mood and decided to lash out at me?
Well,
Are you asking for help or are you just calling me strange?
asking for help. Do I have to grovel in front of you? Do you want to see me beg?
It's an interesting proposition, but no, I had an eye full of just about everything last night, and I do not need any more images of people on their knees. I think I'm full up at the moment.
Mhm.
I find it best to be sanguine about the whole thing. I wish that I could command the stage as I used to. My productions were wonderful. My stories were gory and fantastical. Women would weep in the front row just seeing my expressions, and I kind of like touched the mask on my face. But there are other uses for being unseen. Does wound my ego, but serves many other purposes. But you, a peer of the realm, and have more power socially than even I could command. What on earth troubles you?
My throat feels parched. I stare at you longingly.
Ernest looks down at his cup of tea. Did you abandon your own party for a reason last night? Perhaps you were compelled into something. He's looking at you. You can't tell that he's squinting his eyes, but the mask moves back and forth a little. And the rabbit mask that I am wearing today has a little like cock and tilt.
I think you definitely can tell, like Georgie, as he speaks, like his tongue is at the forefront, and like his teeth are just a little bit too sharp from what you've previously recognized from him.
You woke up with a lisp, is what you're telling me?
Oh my god. Oh, oh, you wound me. But I'm not exactly entirely normal, I don't think. I wandered out on the streets sort of a daze. When I came to before coming back, I found a body at my feet. It was a bit disgusting, honestly speaking. I could taste sort of filth within my mouth. But when I look at you, I don't feel disgusted. I feel delighted. That makes you so different. You may be more special than you realize.
Dame Georgie Benbrook Carter. Are you hungry for me?
I suppose that's one word for it.
No, honestly, I have no idea what got into you this morning. Speak plainly, because at this point, I think that you are the second creature that is out for my blood within the last 12 fucking hours.
Well, I suppose that's it then. I want your blood.
Since when?
Since about 12 hours ago, apparently. Hargrave House is of unusual sorts that we make do what we have. But if you want something, you say it, and we can make a trade. Hmm?
Yes, I'm still just baffled on how you managed to cultivate vampirism in yourself. I just...
Well, I may have had a dalliance or so last night, and well, these things happen.
Yes, well, I suppose I did one day find myself to be completely invisible to the naked eye. How about this? I don't want you to drink my blood directly. It sounds like you are a brand new, possibly untrained in these new urges. Do we call them urges? Is it food?
Urges.
Do you still eat?
I haven't eaten. It's like I am thirsty and water does not suffice.
Yeah, see, I would like to survive this barter, this trade.
That is reasonable.
I'm not often a reasonable man, but you seem to have forced my hand, fearing for my life. As I currently watch you eyeball a jugular I know you can't see.
But I can hear it. It is very disconcerting.
Fine. I want to meet the Queen. I want to meet Victoria, and I want to know, well, I want to know if she's a fan, but I would like to have tea with the Queen. Perhaps she'll commission something from me.
Didn't they put you in the London Tower at one point and try to execute you?
Well, I'm hoping to talk her out of it.
I mean, I could arrange a meeting, but there is certain decorums of like trying to make sure you don't die.
Well, that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, so it would take.
I expect you to arrange all of that.
Okay. But do be aware that she may end up out of this still pretty angry with you. She has. I am loyal servant to the Queen and all, but even I would say she has some eclectic taste and people. So she might either find you the most entertaining thing alive or the most annoying thing alive and want you dead. So just beware, there's only two options out of this.
Ernest snorted a little bit when you just said that the Queen had eclectic tastes, because the irony of it tastes too good in his mouth, but he doesn't want to keep harping on the blood thing right now.
I think at one point that she did spare sort of the pirate queen of Barbuda, and well, that was a whole shebang years ago. Yeah, it's
You would
doable.
like to drink a cup of my blood. If you like,
Mhm.
I could just toss out this tea. I will fill this cup by half, and then you can help me navigate the Queen's eccentricities.
Mhm. Yes, yes. I will tell you everything I know about her and her courts, and those
Facilitate a meeting by which
yeah,
she pardons me for all
facilitate
my
by
crimes.
pardon for your crimes, as well as make sure even that is not secured, you will end up out of the situation still alive in one piece.
Fine. But you're going to have to figure out a more regular beverage.
Mm-hmm. I could. Are you suggesting that I go to help with Miss Kanan,
I'm sorry, who?
the new resident of Hargrave House? She's the one that threw the other party in the garden.
Oh, that glorious creature on the altar?
Yes, that one. Do you really think I could get some of her blood?
Oh, she was captivating. And Ernest just kind of stares out into space.
She's dangerous.
I don't care.
Hmm. Yes.
So beautiful. And flexible. Well, I assume you have some sort of knife or
Mhm.
implement on you.
Of course, I always carry knives, even before this form. And I take out my fountain pen, and then pull off like the end, and there's a knife.
Excellent. Well, Ernest will, it's the easiest way to go about this, slash about the forearm, but first we'll have to uncuff the sleeve to nothing. And watching the knife go through absolutely nothing, you see the blood begin to well in almost thin air as I flex and squeeze my hand, a safe 3 feet away from you, I think.
Mhm.
This is like a 2 steps back situation.
Yeah, I think as you're doing this, Dame Georgie is like doing his best to not move forward to those 2 steps, but like just pacing, just to keep himself moving, keep himself not as focused on you, the smell, the heartbeat.
I'm just going to set this cup right here
Mhm.
and go. Have a good day.
Mhm.
All right, let's take a look at conditions. So, Dame Georgie,
Oh, go ahead.
what do you think?
Because of my move, the cleansing qualities of crimson, I get to clear 2 conditions. I think due to the nature of last night's party, like saying like I'm running out of time, I'm trying to reconnect with family, that sort of thing. I think it just,
Sure.
I think it rectifies some stuff.
Okay.
At least not to be as a major problem.
Yeah. Well, you are a major problem, but I mean, like, not by virtue of your conditions. And then, let's see, barbs and spars. I mean, like, you were pretty much going back and forth with Dame Georgie, so I think you can definitely wipe that one for sure.
Cute.
So
Hold on.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question because it's like, I was just like just watching the scene. Whose voice was in play again? Was this Humiliation? Okay.
It was my but however, the other hunter must replace Barbs and Spar with Dark Desires.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that's right. Whoopsie. Oh, poop. Yes.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a thing.
That's a thing now, unfortunately.
Fool me once, Dame Georgie. It's
okay.
Vampirism spreads through the rest of Hargrave House.
Yeah, but I mean, again, unless they take a mastermind move, it is not permanent. They can get rid of it.
Yeah, you could go see Miss Kaya and help you clear that.
Uh-huh.
After all, she is flexible.
I
Mm,
noticed.
yes, much to
Um,
notice. Okay, so given it's your vice, Dame Georgie, it's like you can either stumble upon a clue, not conclusively answering any one question, and pick your threat, or you can invite Ernest to ask you a question about your past.
I think I will invite Ernest to ask a question of my past because I did offer Ernest to like give you anything for this cup of blood.
Don't forget about your invitation to tea with the queen.
I know. I will write it down in the Discord so I don't forget.
Okay.
You're not going to forget. I won't let you.
Nope.
Dame Georgie, popping my head back in. Did I see your brother at your, well, rather hopeless excuse for a party?
Yes. Do you have any particular question about that?
Well, it just seems so odd. I had not considered your family up until this point. You wear your peerage so well. It didn't occur to me that you might have some familial responsibilities. I was just curious, why on earth did you invite him?
Well, the other day I did fall in the Thames because of the whole situation with my father and mother. It got me to thinking I need to rectify things with my brother because he's the only one of my only other sibling that is alive still. And well, my parents are getting older. I have no heir to myself. And well, frankly, neither does he, but his prospects are much higher than mine in that regard.
Well, especially now,
I,
given.
do you want to ask me why I don't have any children? Because that seems like to be the sort of thing, because peerage has children.
Oh, no, it's fine. Thank you. Have a good day.
God. Didn't answer, and question was asked. All right, cool. Miss Kanon, did you want to have a vulnerable scene, or did anybody want to have a vulnerable scene with Miss Kanon before we do at least one scene for day phase?
I'm open to it, but it's up to you all.
I mean, I'd very much like to clear the dark desires that I am now infected with, not knowing that I was not actually participating in a good faith clearing of conditions here. Perhaps I could go and introduce myself and
That's a good
revel
idea.
in your performance.
Yeah. What's your vice again? Voyeurism?
Voyeurism, yes.
Yeah. So I figure
You can totally have like a side character or something, engaged with you.
well, yeah, I was gonna say I don't think the party stopped for Miss Kanon just yet. So she has maybe 4 or 5 guests in her boudoir. And the house is rocking, but you can't come and knock.
I think I do just that. You hear
Her manservant opens the door. He doesn't say anything though, doesn't even blink, but he stands aside.
yes, Ernest Merritt Savage. Is Miss Kanan here?
Just
I don't.
gestures towards the bed, which is I believe I think it's I don't remember how I described it last time. I think it was like a circular sort of canopy style with a bunch of like pillows and ornate bags and blankets and whatnot. But it's I think the windows are like large enough for the sunlight to sort of pour in, so you just see the silhouettes of these bodies sort of just engaged behind the red gossamer veil.
Oh, good morning. I thought that you might like some tea, but I see the party is still winding down.
I don't think you hear anything, I mean, other than the obvious at first. But you then hear, after a few moments, you hear her call out, Abdurrahman, who's here? And she begins to sort of poke out her head out of the canopy bed. And you are?
In a very elaborate bow, stage theatrical bow, arm cast back. Ernest Merritt Savage. We didn't have a chance to meet at your party last evening, but
Were you looking to meet now?
well, it seems like you are engaged in quite a bit of activity, but I enjoyed watching you so much last night as well.
Have you come to watch me now?
I mean, I'm not. If and Ernest looks uncharacteristically shy, hesitant even, if you would permit me.
Yes, very well. She sort of waves him off, and when she waves, her manservant Abdurrahman just pulls back the drapes, and it's just on display. But I think I think she's letting them sort of intermingle, and she enjoys it a little bit. But I think she's more interested in why you're here, and so she sort of just rolls over onto her side. She's completely nude. Aside from the body paint that was on her and all of them at some point, but it's sort of like rubbed off into the sheets. And she has this, I don't think you were here for a description, but she's got like deep bronze skin. She has jet black hair, straight, that reaches her like past her hips. She's usually in like really ornate garments, obviously, but not now. Not currently.
Well, it was a lovely soiree. I don't mean to be alarmist, and it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, obviously. How could it not be? But I just had a very surprising and disturbing interaction with Dame Georgie, and I felt like, for your own safety. Oh, the other party, there was a front room cards game that was happening.
Yes.
One of our fellow hunters, perhaps you recall.
No, yes, I do. I hoped that the guests from Liverpool, not Liverpool, totally different region, Limehouse, enjoyed themselves.
I stepped over a few on the stairs on my way downstairs to have a cup of tea this morning. I think plenty of them stayed. But neither here nor there. I don't know if it was because of the gloriousness of your party, but Dame Georgie left last night and came back thirsty this morning. I just bartered a cup of blood in payment. It's possible that Dame Georgie just went out and became a vampire overnight, and I just thought maybe you should know. I wouldn't want you caught unawares like I was this morning. It was a lot.
She taps on the back of one of the men who's helping himself to her, and all four of them sort of just get up, understanding what that means, and they begin to pick up their clothing and exit the room. And
Ernest's eyes wander briefly.
Yeah.
And then back to you.
But she sits upright. I think she begins to pull on like a red silk robe. It's like embroidered with these sort of like arabesque embroidery trimmings. As she pulls the pipe, an opium pipe, begins to light it, and as you're talking, she just sort of blows the smoke up towards you, and just has you continue. I think when you end on the whole vampire thing, she just lets it hang there, just looking up at you, like, why is this my problem?
Well, I just felt like you should know, but obviously you seem nonplussed and unbothered. So
Why should I be?
Well, Dame Georgie did express to me quite an urgent desire for your blood as well.
Shame that he weren't man enough to come ask me himself.
Well, I can't say that that's terribly surprising. I'm much more forthright.
Yes, you are. Except that mask you wear.
Oh,
Is that
do you not
something
know?
No,
Oh,
is
well,
that
of
something
course
you
you
just
wouldn't.
do?
It's something I just am. And I will just reach to one of my gloves and pull it off.
Oh, well, this is much more fascinating than a vampire. And she'll reach up and sort of take your hand if you'll let her.
Gladly.
And she sort of turns it over. But I think she notices some of the blood that's on your cuff.
Mhm.
And oh, this is from Dame Georgie.
I didn't feel quite secure enough to allow him to drink directly, and I'll just kind of roll up my sleeve a little bit, and you can still see the cut on my flesh, or my lack thereof.
May I taste of it?
I do appreciate a direct question. Everything, even some of your party guests, your performance last night was breathtaking, and I find myself unable to deny you anything.
I am undeniable.
Aren't you just? And I extend my wrist.
She looks over the wound, and it's so peculiar because it's sort of emanating from nothing. And she just sort of caresses the forearm for a bit. And we just sort of see her fingers occupying the space, sort of dragging along. And I think that looking up at you, into the eyes of the mask, she just sort of takes a very long, slow drag of her tongue across the wound. Licks her lips a bit. Interesting.
I find your attention so gratifying, but I I do have things to do today, and
Yes, I hear
well, I'm
there's a
feeling.
demon.
Oh, yes, the doctor did come by. Gastrell is such a peculiar character.
No. I look forward to meeting him at some point, but however, I'm going to go to the Abbey and see about this myself. And as she's doing that, I think she gets up and Abdurrahman sort of just comes in with a mannequin already dressed with her attire for the day.
Well, it's a pleasure, Miss Canam.
I know.
And Ernest doesn't scurry away, but for the second time in as many hours, dashes out the door.
Condition?
Oh, I would
mean, I
love
know.
to. Oh, me.
I mean, I didn't know whether Liat thought that she could parlay out of time.
I'm gonna keep it for now.
Okay, that's fine. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And dark desires. Well, this is, I mean, what do you think? I mean, like, do you think that very sensual licking was enough for dark desires, or do you think that you would, I don't know.
I mean, between the voyeurism of the romping good sexy time happening just here,
Yeah,
and then the attention of a woman who Ernest was captivated by, I think the whole thing is sexy enough.
okay. So you can go ahead and clear that. Because if you had kept it, then we would have had to add that interesting dawn question.
Yeah, please no. I don't want that right now.
Okay. Fun. All right. So I think there's time for one scene for the day phase, and then we can continue on day phase for the next time. So that's not a problem. Okay. So let's go to the Abbey.
Did you want to invite a question or clue?
Oh, yes.
Perhaps a clue. I think maybe I would have noticed something in watching you last night and today that will lead me to think that you are out of time and provide a clue to the Greenwich mystery. But at the moment, I don't have it. I'll let you guys know what I generate.
Can you put under mean times, can you put Ernest TBD?
Yeah.
Do the clues, and then this way, when you come up with it, just fill in. Yeah.
Will do.
Okay, great. Okay. Let me go to the Abbey. All right. So what are you wearing? What is your outfit to sidle off to the Abbey?
So it's like a black silk gown, but the ornamentations, the accessories are what make it. She has sort of a shawl, but it's made out of lamb pelt, even with the head is still included on it. She is wearing sort of a circlet or diadem in the shape of these like golden thorns. They aren't jutting into her scalp, but they are jutting outward. And then on her hands and on her feet, she has these red gems on top, these rubies, and the side of her ribs is also decorated in this sort of cascading rubies, sort of like a jeweled stigmata.
Amazing. All right, fantastic. Okay, so you find yourself at the Abbey. There's echoing hallways, weirdly long shadows, even in this daylight. People are avoiding your gaze, like the monks that are around are just kind of hurrying along, doing their thing, heads down or heads away. Even your incredible appearance just doesn't earn more than a quick, hurried glance. This is a paint the scene for everyone. What signs of the demon's influence do you see upon setting foot in the Abbey?
I think to build off what the detail that Ernest gave earlier, I think all the corners of where the walls meet the ceilings and just going down towards the floor, they're all sort of like this rusty red, deep red color that they haven't been able to scrub out.
The unusually lush plants in the garden around the Abbey, if any of them are touching the Abbey itself, like as the trees overhang, they are brown wilted and like a oak wilt just browning at the edges.
Could you repeat the paint the scene question?
It is, what signs of the demon's influence do you see upon setting foot in the Abbey?
I think as you're setting foot, there is this artwork and of like saints and crowds of like very religious imagery. And I think if you were to take a closer look to each one, you could see some sort of debauchery taking place in like the backgrounds and whatnot.
You said that the monks are just sort of averting their gaze, or
Yes, they're avoiding your gaze. So, even if they're coming towards you, they'll kind of like do like a quick like pass and not look at you. Like they'll just kind of look down at the ground or concentrate on whatever they're holding.
and we were told where the body was excavated from, right?
Let me just double check. Yeah, walled up in the basement.
Yeah. She'll put her hand on a passing monk and ask, the basement, please.
Oh, yes. Rather timid little fellow, mousy brown hair and in the gray garb, and will look up at you with like wide eyes and yes, and then the gesture for you to follow.
She will.
And you go down into the basement of the Abbey. It's cold here. It is. Why don't you do a night move? Tell me what you feel first. As you come down into this place where the shadows not only are prevalent, but they grip the air. What do you feel here?
I don't think she's actually unsettled by that feeling. She's more unsettled by the fact that she has to be in this church.
Okay, got it. And what do you think will go wrong if you fail or lose your nerve?
That the entity won't remember me and it will lash out and devour me, possess me.
Yeah, it'll have you as a plaything for a little bit before it decides to devour you, though. Likes to play with its food. So yeah, go ahead and roll with sensitivity or composure. I'll give you the choice.
It's the big old 4.
Okay. Yeah, I think what happens is it's like you feel this chill move. The shadows will like literally come up to you and start to envelop you, and then you feel the cold fingers of the darkness like consume you, and then in the dark, clouding your vision, consuming your vision, you will see 4 golden eyes stare at you and see the smile of sharp teeth and long fangs and say, "Darling, it's wonderful to see you again," before you are subsumed and
Do I
made to
want to
do
mark a
things.
mask is the question.
That's up to you. I mean, like, what do you want to do with your character?
No, that sounds kind of hot. No, I'll mark a mask for now. I'll mark a mask of the past.
So 7 to 9. All right. Yeah, I think you find yourself in the basement. I mean, like, the little priest is like, the little monk, sorry, has shown you down here and is immediately scuttling back up the stairs, leaving you to whatever you plan on doing down here. And I think, again, you see the shadows. They're holding tightly onto the corners, but you can see where the excavation was happening or the renovation was happening, that they must have pulled this body out of, right? It's very obvious because there's the stones where they place them like near the opening, but then a lot of them have been kind of like just shoved aside, like no order to them whatsoever, and you just see the gaping hole in the wall.
I would like to do some investigating, specifically the hole, see if
Okay.
I pick up on any signs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, in this case, do you want to say that you're rolling with sensitivity in this case? Because it's like,
I was
me.
actually, I was going to ask if I could do that because I was going to use my my walking stick with the engravings of the ancient language on it to sort of poke around.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, great. No, it's fine. Roll that, mark that off and roll with advantage.
That is a 8 total.
I'll give you the clue in a minute. Let me head over.
I was going to say, if you want to move on to the others, you can.
Yeah. Let's go over to Ernest, since you haven't been to Greenwich, or like, what you choose to do. Let me figure out how to go back to that. Yeah, so you can either, again, head to the Greenwich Hospital where the different James Hallardises are, or you can head over to the HMS Whippet because it is still in dock. I'm going to say it's like, if you want, you can even visit the Royal Observatory to see if you can get any more information about from Millicent Bryan about the professor, or even take a look at his lab, where he was looking at stars.
Ernest is fascinated by these doppelgangers and will go to the hospital.
Okay. So there's the present day one that was found on the Whippet, who's about 20 some odd years old, and he's in the infirmary because he's still recovering from some trauma. And then the other one is the older retired sailor, James Allardyce, who both have an uncanny resemblance to each other.
Mhm.
Who do you want to visit first?
Let's go in chronological order. I will go see the younger first.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, like as described last time, this is a hospital that is provided by the Navy as a retirement home for the former sailors, but also like is kind of caters to like a more nautical bent. So a lot of like nautical decorations and such and uniforms are prevalent here. Yeah, the young James Allardyce in the infirmary again is a very nervous kind of um, just has this look of seeing in totally different times, totally different places, all at the same time, very confused looking. And when you see him, he is sitting in a chair, gripping the armrest as if he's trying to hold on, and just staring out into space, like kind of offset from looking towards the door. And
James.
I hear my name all different ways. Mother, my shipmates, strangers. And then you can see him like having trouble trying to focus as he tries to hone in on your voice saying his name. He's gripping like with a white knuckled grip on those armrests.
It occurs to Ernest just now that perhaps the white rabbit mask might be disconcerting to this individual. But he's going to push through. I've come to check on you, but also I need to hear your story, young man.
And he's trying very hard to focus on your mask. The rabbit, white rabbit, down the rabbit hole, yeah?
Exactly. Exactly.
falling through space and dying. Then he starts to sob. They found me on the Whippet. I don't know, just going through the decks, all gone, all disappeared, except for me. I don't know why. I I was here and there. When? Now? Then? And he reaches out with one shaky hand to grip something, maybe to even touch your mask. What do you do?
I kind of put my hand around his as he's reaching up for mine. Instinctively, wouldn't let him touch it.
Yeah, you feel the vibrations in his hand as he's gripping yours. What are you feeling when you're looking into these eyes that are just like shifting? It's like imperceptibly, but yet very visible that he is not seeing, but also seeing many different things all at once, including your face, your mask.
I'm compelled. I find all of this not only fascinating, but very good material.
I think you get a little jolt as you feel like you've done this before. Take the condition déjà vu.
Excellent.
And yeah, do you want to try and do some kind of investigation, talking to him or looking around, seeing what he is or around him? What do you want to do?
I think that I want to compel him, perhaps even using my mask as like a touchstone for him, and ask him to recount what he's seeing and describing the rabbit hole he's experiencing, to see if any of the details of his observations give me any clues.
Go ahead and roll information move with, I think, reason. You're reasoning this out.
All right, well, that's a 10, but I think it's -1. It's been a minute with this character. Hang on. Oh, no, just 10, flat.
Perfect. All right. And yeah, you get a clue for this for sure. All right. So yeah, as you're asking him to tell about his story and recount what happened, I think you're helping him focus. And that rabbit mask is like again going down the rabbit hole, and like he's like, clutching that as a lifeline of like, this makes sense to me. I can do something from this. And then hmm, he's telling you the story about being found on the whippet and nobody being around, and just feeling like he was caught in some sort of field where he kept on doing the same thing over and over again, and then he would get a little bit farther and maybe not, and then get a little bit farther and then go back to the same spot, or maybe a little bit off from that. And then he points very shakily to some papers on his desk, and he doesn't move, but he's pointing towards the calendar that he has on the desk that he's scribbled on. And you see that calendar has, in 5 days' time, a date, that date circled many different times. So that is the clue. A calendar, the date in 5 days' time circled emphatically, but no explanation.
I'll just give his hand a couple of pats. So he'll release. Try and dream well tonight, James. Think of a story from your childhood. It'll lull you. Alice in Wonderland is just cusping in this time period, or are we before? I forget. I'm out of time.
Fine. I mean, out of time is what it's about, right?
Mhm.
And he will also say mysteriously, like as you're leaving, he'll say mysteriously, "Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How does her garden grow?" And then he leaves you with that as he goes back to gripping the armrest. Dame Georgie, you're investigating the Figs, correct?
Going to Bethlehem Royal Hospital to interrogate Mr. Figg.
Ah, fun. Yeah. Let's see what we have with Mr. Figg. I think, yeah, you hear some screams, you hear some sobs, as usual. I mean, this is Bedlam.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think through the Scotland Yard contacts, it's like you know which room he's in. And in fact, you don't even really need to be told, because down the hall you can hear, "Sing a song of 3 figs, the apples of my eye." And it just can't, like, the whole verse keeps on going. You know it's him. They have that panel that you can kind of slide open and closed,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see him in his room sitting with his back to the door, looking out the window. Actually, there is no window. He's looking towards the wall, and he's just rocking back and forth. You can see his back rocking back and forth in the middle of the room, singing his little song.
Mr. Figg, I would like to have a conversation with you.
He stops. He doesn't turn around, but he will speak over his shoulder. "And who, pray tell, needs to speak words with me?"
Words are useful for finding your family. You love them, don't you? So very much. I've been to your home. I've seen the way you just raised your beautiful boys. They are such lovely young men.
We are a loving family. We share the same goal: to feed, to worship the great Esau. He starts rocking back and forth again. And any way that is status, riches, blood. He takes it all. And we give it to him through flesh.
Could you tell me about the first time he revealed himself to you? His miracles, his bargains.
You know, do you know? Do you know? Two states of being. Be a piglet, suckling at the teat of monk. Join at the breast of the great he-sow. Do you have your bones and blood ground up for the slop? It is the greatest tenant ever. And he sings the song again. If you want to gather information, I suggest presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get him to pay attention to you.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
What'd we get?
presence. That's +1. So that's, of course, she's involved. A 12.
Of course, she's involved. It's beautiful. All right, great. Well, just how to feed those dark desires, Dame Georgie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm coming back to you. I'm going to go back to Liat. I was almost going to say Mildred. My God, I'm like losing my brain. Okay. Yeah, so Miss Kanan. All right. So for that 8, and I'm just going to double check something on your sheet because I don't think you have it marked yet. Hopefully not, because otherwise this is going to be real awkward. Perfect. Okay, good. It's not as bad as it could be. For your clue, what did I have you roll on? Was it sensitivity or
Yeah,
compulsion?
so I was using my staff, which has like the sigils or the arcane script
Perfect. Okay, great.
on the handle.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like using it as like an occult metal detector.
Yeah. I think what you end up seeing in this hole, in the shadows, it's almost like you're lighting it up to your inner eye or what have you. You are making passes with this walking stick and the ornate symbols. I would bet that the ornate arcane symbols are glowing and creating this shadow play on the wall. And you see carved in the, or how to say, they're stone bricks of a sort. And there's cracks in the bricks. But as you make these passes with your walking stick, the cracks start to make a pattern, and it's way too coincidental to be, again, accident. But the cracks make a scene of 2 people engaged in a, I'm going to say, brilliant sexual act that you can see in the cracks in the wall. The clue bases down to a piece of erotica hidden in plain sight. Do with that what you will. And I'm going to say the complication is you hear a booming voice behind you, and it is, "What is the meaning of this? Who are you?"
She'll withdraw her cane and just stand up. She'll stand up and just casually turn.
You see the humongous figure, hulk of a man, and the booming voice, of course, and big meaty hands of what looks like the, not ruling, like the head of this abbey. "I am Abbot Claudius."
I know who you are. I'm going to take him as a servant.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, he's got sweaty palms,
Yeah, I think that not seeing who she was from the front, just sort of instinctively, barked at her.
Yes.
But when she turns around, I think he's terrified,
Oh yeah.
and he gets on his knees because she just kiss her boots.
Okay. Alrighty. And I am owed a, go ahead and scar your reflection and let us know how the reflection has changed.
Yeah, I think that there's a moment where she pulls her boot back and his hands are sort of on the ground, and she just puts her boot heel onto his fingers and steps. And as she begins to grind her boot heel into his fingers, we see one of the kind of like taloned feet of the statue begins to sort of crumble and fall apart.
Nice. And he's starting to scream. And you can sort of see like coming down the stairs, but they're not going beyond the edge of the stairwell. They're just peering around the corner, rather terrified themselves, like a bunch of the monks, like starting to form an audience. But
Tell them
again,
to
they're
go.
not. Yes, yes, mistress. Yes, please, please, go, leave. Don't watch this. And they leave.
She'll take her boot off his hand.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know it was you.
Should be careful in your approach to people, even strangers.
Yes, mistress. What can I do? What can I do for you?
This demon was found in this girl. Did you see the body? Were you present for the excavation?
Yes, I was.
Did you see anything, hear anything, sense anything?
It was me, and then it wasn't me. I am ashamed that the demon was able to force its way in and have me do despicable things.
Like what?
And he tells you about, pleasuring himself and like at the one mass or whatever, and just like a whole bunch of things of
I did want to do the investigation though.
Sure.
Trying to interview him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, go ahead. This would be, well, I mean, it's reason basically. I mean, unless you want to like exert more presence.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to give him an item, so I'll just roll.
Okay.
Ooh, let me just double check something.
Okay.
That is going to be a. I'm rolling with presence.
Yeah.
Going to be a 9.
All right. And he, what are you specifically asking him?
Just asking what he saw when he was excavating.
Got it.
Or what he sensed. It doesn't have to be like what he saw, but like anything that he sensed.
Yeah, I think he's going to tell you about how he lost himself because like he felt the demon take over. And that when he was taken over, but it was like he was trapped behind his eyes, as the demon did whatever they did. He's going to say that before it was complete and he was just a passenger in his own self, he was going to say that like when his sleeves like fell away, like he could see with his eyes like arcane symbols painted on his skin appearing before the demon completely took over. And that is your clue. Arcane symbols painted on skin. Okay.
I will tell him as a parting word. You've been helpful, which is why I won't have you killed.
Thank
You will
you.
sleep down here tonight, though. Guard this hole.
Yes, mistress. Yes, 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 I will.
And she'll turn heel and get out.
All right. And I'm going to say your condition for these mixed results is seen by the demon. And then, oof, to end this segment of day phase, Dame Georgie, your clue for being at Bedlam.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say? I'm going to ask you. Do you think it's something that you notice about Figg, or is it something that he says?
I think since I did get a 12 plus, I think it's more that I notice something about him. My senses are a little bit more heightened, as it were. I know the way that he talks in this cadence, in this sing-songy voice, and his heartbeat is never sort of rushing any beat by beat. So, like, I'm very in tune to what Mr. Figg is rather than what he is saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say that you you notice that in his room, even though there's not a whole hell of a lot, but somehow there is scraps of paper and shreds of clothing, even like sheets for say, right? I mean, like if there's like any sheets here or pillowcases or what have you, and then balls of God knows what. They've all been gathered into a particular, not corner, but part of the wall and formed into a giant nest. Detritus gathered and formed into a giant nest. And then I think it's not a mirror, but maybe there's like a slit of a window or something in this particular room. And I think from the slit, you see some kind of dark shadow pop up, very noticeable to you at this juncture. And I think you see ruby red lips peeking from this recess. And you also see, give me a second, next to the ruby red lips is turned towards you. It's a white rose, but then as it's tilted, so its face is pointing at you, you can see it's painted red with blood. That is a mastermind clue. A white rose painted red with blood. Okay, so we'll leave that day phase right there. All right. I did the mastermind clue. Yay. Okay. I think I covered everybody's clues. I have to, oh, you know what? Let me add another clue because this is the one I owe Atticus from the 9, the 1-9 that I didn't leave something. So if somebody could put this in Figg's Pigs. I'm just going to say that there was a carefully folded bundle of long blonde hair found in the place that Atticus was. Carefully folded bundle of long blonde hair. We will resume day phase next time. If everybody's got time, like, quick stars and wishes, just to, hit us off to get ready for the next session. All right. Whomever wants to start, God knows.
I gotta give a star for Jack for ruining my party. That was such a lovely job. I figured that something like that would have happened, but it wasn't the way I expected it to happen. So, like, that was fantastic. Star for Mads for the mastermind, luring me in. I was just like, oh yes. I'm so excited about what's going on, and like Dame Georgie's excited in a different way. So it's just like I was making all these faces while Dame Georgie was like, ooh, I'm going to be cool about this. And he was not cool about this at all. Gotta give a star for Ernest for drinking the blood out of a teacup, and just like, oh yeah, I'm going to get around like any sort of nefarious things, and you still got the condition. Like it was like, Dame Georgie's an ass for not like telling you about this, even though me as a player, I did read out the entire move beforehand, like when I initially picked it up.
Yeah, good time tonight. Very steamy. Lots of debauchery. It's how I like my between games, obviously. And it seems like the rest of you do too, so that's always reassuring. Yeah, individual stars. I love this like almost descent for Dame Georgie, like a Renfield sort of thing going on, like the desperation and like the dishevelment, running around just, you know, kind of constantly in the state of humiliation. At least his higher social standing, those circles. He would be mocked for running around in the state that he's in, asking for blood. So I really like this sort of like continuing descent, and I want to see how bad it gets for him, because I think it's going to be bad. I hope it's bad, but in a fun and entertaining way. Star for Sarah. There's something about the way that you just have like really quick words, throwing in sort of like these hints of blood to the scene with you and Dame Georgie. Just think you've got a really good way of just talking, and your conversational skills with Ernest are very apparent and very well done. And then Matt, yeah, thanks for putting up the bullshit, because we threw a lot at you, and I think we all stayed within our own, it's our safety, but I think that we pushed it just enough to make it fun, and you were a big part of making sure that was maintained. So
I do like a steamy game. Pitch perfect from everybody. It was steamy. It's almost as if your setting of the party theme just leaked into much like one party melding into the other, just kind of leaked into the rest of our session, which was compelling and interesting, but also there are all the threat details on the outside, like little pinpricks of monsters and out of sync, like the inconsistency of time. And now Ernest is having deja vu, which I think is going to be fun to associate with this particular debauchery. I too like Dame Georgie constantly being on the outs with her people. I like that a lot, because I don't think that he is really leaning on the queen much these days. And I think that's starting to degrade the social standing, and it's a lot of fun to see for sure. But I also just like chaotic. I like the way that I want to put this, the way that you are slowly and carefully doing this with your speech with Dame Georgie is interesting. It was a fun counterpoint to my barbs and spars in our vulnerable scene. And I really feel like Dame Georgie is always trying to couch the right answer and never answer anything honestly. And I think that that's really coming through in your role play in a fascinating way that I love all about that. And just even your brutal lying about your intentions of, manipulating the sweet Mr. Pig and his lovely family. You have no qualms about it. And so seeing that in your vocalization of your character is awesome. Mads, I love the way that you pace out your games. I do. I love the way that you let scenes breathe. I felt like the conversational patter was fun today because I don't get to stretch that muscle as often as I'd like to. And so thank you for creating a wonderful space, both you and all my players. And I'm very excited to see if because Ernest in the moment feeling kind of like hesitant and shy and so out of character with Liat is something that I've thrown out there, and now I'm like, ooh, but why? So I'm gonna have a lot of fun seeing that character journey arc for us. But yeah, it was a fun game. I'm glad to be back at it.
Matt, you muted yourself.
Thank you. And we are very glad to have you back. And wish the whole table was back again. But this is good. This is good. Everybody's like, like everybody's suffering fairly equally. And so it's good. Stars for everybody's individual character. I mean, I always love to see what kind of trouble Ernest gets himself into. And then just deal. Okay, so this folds into my wish, which is like, let's see some unseen moves. Like, I know you have moves and you haven't been using them, even though you are using them, like, in your role play, but let's just see, let's see what they do mechanically. Like, let's see how they affect your character. And then if it gets fucked up by a roll, then I mean, like, even more drama, I guess. I mean, like, but why not try it, you've been doing well with the basic moves so far, but let's start adding on some spice with the unseen actual playbook moves. Okay. So I really enjoyed that. And Dame Georgie, man, I mean, you tried, you really wanted to to make something and bring in your family and try to be with your REC pals, but yeah, I mean, I knew I was going to be bringing in the mastermind for this particular night phase because I owed you the clues anyway, but I felt this was a good time to get Dame Georgie alone, and that was my intention. So way to roll with it and just fall right in. I mean, like, yeah, Dark Desires is like folding in really nicely. And oh, Miss Kenan, oof, so good. I mean, like, between you pulling a lot of giveth and just your dealings with people, I'm fascinated to see. I guess I'm like not sure, as even the keeper, like what your meaning is behind like trying to veer Lady Everly Grey off of Sir Atticus, like when he returns or what have you. But it'll be interesting to see her angles, to see what Miss Kenan's deal is as we go along. And yeah, just stomping out everybody that kind of just gets in her way, I guess, and just take them like worshipers left and right. I love it. I want to see more of that. And then there was something else mechanically that I wanted to see. Well, besides the 2 masks that you now owe, but there was something else, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. But I'll probably remember offline, and then I'll let you know. But stars to everybody tonight. Again, like I love bullshit. I love callbacks, and you know that I totally enjoy watching you role play. If I had popcorn, it's like for sure. And I love the steaminess of the game. Oh my gosh, so good, so good. So yeah, if that's all, then we will go to next week.
I had one bonus star.
Oh, sure.
Now that I think of it.
Okay.
Sending that first worshiper into the party completely naked,
Yes.
into the throng of people that you pushed through the other door, was an excellent chess move of a player manipulation that I love to see.
Oh my gosh. Definite star. Definite agree on that star for sure. Wow. That was definitely unexpected. So I was like, yo, my God.
Yeah, it's nice to after 20 episodes of Mildred getting to do something a little different, very opposite of what she is or what she was.
I love it. I love that exploration, and it's so wonderful. I can't wait to see what havoc Miss Kenan does as we go along. So, all right. Looking forward to next session as always. And yeah, I mean, just figure out your masks, Jack. I mean, I have no problems if you want to kind of come up with something beforehand.
No. I have it. It's just that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's fine. No worries.
I owe one as well.
Okay.
By the way, if we're putting that in our notes somewhere.
Yes. And I'll usually do a rewatch, and then I'll be like, reminder. Okay. I want to see more misses from Dame Georgie. I want to hear more masks. I want to hear like about this history and crap, because, well, that's the problem, right? I mean, like the only way to really hear history about Dame Georgie is either through the questions or the threat masks, because everything else has to be about the boy.
Yeah,
So-
people keep asking. I keep picking the option for people to ask me questions, Mads. I'm trying to make
I
this
know.
work.
I know. It's just such a very unique playbook. I will say. I'm just like, what? I can't find out about the dude. Shit.
Can't you also in your vulnerable moves with the mastermind?
Yes, but however, that
Yes.
has not triggered because my vice is humiliation, and so far all of my interactions have been somewhat positive in my mind. So like Dame Georgie hasn't been humiliated by the mastermind, and he has not humiliated the mastermind yet. So
I see. I see.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun tug of war,
Mhm.
guaranteed.
you know, like in regards to like how I roleplay Dame Georgie of being very elusive about everything, like it's just more or less like he is the embodiment of shame. Like he is ashamed of a lot of things and he doesn't want to talk about it. But I'm gonna make him talk about it eventually. And another star for you, Sarah, like about like I sort of gave way to like for you to almost ask an additional question during that vulnerable scene, but you said, you know what? No, I don't want to know. I'm like, okay.
Would have given up the whole like, novel. My God, that's great.
Well,
We
it
would have
just
loved
didn't
it.
seem appropriate to talk about your dead siblings after offering you a spot of tea.
That would have required like more whiskey. I think that's would have been more appropriate for sure. But anyway, okay, so we're all set for next time, and I look forward to finishing out the day phase and seeing how far we get. I mean, we're building up the clues, and then you have the opportunity to do more investigation and then see if like about answering like one or two questions, like, for next time. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
also looking forward to when Sir Atticus comes and join us again, because oh boy, this session in particular, that's gonna bring up issues.
I mean, he missed the orgy. What's the problem? I don't know.
And maybe the fact that Dame Georgie is a vampire now, like maybe cause some issues. Who
A little bit of
knows?
conflict.
Little bit.
Maybe.
Un poquito.
Oh
All
my
right,
gosh.
everyone.
Alrighty.
Bye.
See ya.
Love
Happy
you all.
gaming. Bye.
Bye.